What if your 20s aren't just a time to mess around, but the decade that shapes your entire life? The Defining Decade by Meg Jay is a wake-up call to seize your 20s and build a future you love. Let's dive into this compelling guide that shows why these years matter and how to make them count. In her groundbreaking book, clinical psychologist Meg Jay shatters the myth that your 20s are a carefree throwaway decade. Published in 2012, The Defining Decade. Why your 20s matter and how to make the most of them now draws on Jay's work with young adults, blending research, client stories, and practical advice. She argues that your 20s are a critical period for setting the trajectory of your career, relationships, and personal growth. With warmth and urgency, Jay empowers 20-somethings to take charge of their lives, warning that waiting until your 30s to get serious can leave you playing catch-up. Jay begins by debunking the idea that you have endless time to figure things out. She introduces the concept of identity capital, the skills, experiences, and relationships you build that define who you are and open future doors. A summer internship, a bold career move, or even a meaningful conversation can add to this capital. But drifting through low-effort jobs or avoiding risks, Jay cautions, squanders precious time. She shares stories of clients who felt stuck in dead-end roles, only to realize later that small, intentional steps in their 20s could have built momentum toward their goals. When it comes to work, Jay emphasizes starting now. The 20s are when you lay the foundation for your career, as early choices compound over time. She cites research showing that most wage growth happens before age 30, meaning delays in pursuing meaningful work can cost you financially and professionally. Jay doesn't push chasing prestige, but finding weak ties, mentors, colleagues, or acquaintances outside your inner circle who can offer new opportunities. One client, for example, landed a dream job through a casual connection she nurtured. The lesson? Network intentionally, and don't wait for the perfect job to start building skills. Love is another critical arena. Jay warns against sliding into relationships out of convenience, urging 20-somethings to decide who they want to be with. She explores how cohabitation without commitment can lead to inertia, citing studies that link unexamined relationships to lower satisfaction later. Through stories like a client who stayed in a mismatched relationship too long, Jay shows that your 20s are for learning what you value in a partner and choosing relationships that align with your future. She also stresses self-awareness, encouraging readers to work on their own emotional baggage to build healthier connections. Personal growth ties it all together. Jay introduces the idea of the front brain, the part of your brain responsible for planning and decision-making, which isn't fully developed until your mid-20s. This explains why 20-somethings often feel torn between impulsiveness and ambition. But it's also why this decade is prime for taking risks like moving to a new city or starting a business before life's responsibilities pile up. Jay encourages claiming your adulthood by setting goals and taking small, deliberate steps rather than waiting for a magical moment of clarity. The book tackles the anxiety of not knowing enough or feeling behind. Jay reassures readers that uncertainty is normal, but inaction isn't. She shares the concept of forward thinking, where you envision the life you want at 40 and work backward to identify today's priorities. One client, paralyzed by indecision, found direction by focusing on what excited her most, even if the path wasn't fully clear. Jay's message is practical. You don't need all the answers, just the courage to start. The Defining Decade is both a rallying cry and a roadmap. Jay blends science, like brain development research, with relatable stories, making the stakes feel real without being preachy. Her advice: build identity capital, seek weak ties, choose relationships wisely, and act now, empowers readers to turn their 20s into a launchpad. So, let me ask you, what's one small step you can take today to start shaping your 20s into a decade that defines your future?